Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm Rob. And let's get into some picks and a little bit of that news.
Hold on a second. Now, I came into this episode thinking that I am wearing a ridiculous shirt with a what the duck and a little picture of a rubber ducky. All I know is peeking above your name on the screen is Jesus. What the? So for those that listen to the audio, it says I saw that with like a Jesus pic going around the corner there. Okay.
Yeah. It's like you're in the other room and he's looking through the door frame, just nudging over just a smidge, leaning over.
Oh my. All right, guys. So we got some more Giants news to go over there. We got some coaching news to go over as far as couple of our coordinators getting temporary head coaching positions here. Also got one of our front office members being brought in for an interview for a GM position after already losing another one to the Patriots. And then now we also have to go over to the fact that there's rumor about Shedeur Sanders and the Giants, and our friends over at Empire Sports Media went ahead and made a suggestion for a free agent signing that I got to say actually kind of makes some sense. I hate to admit it, but it kind of does. So let's get right into it, guys. So first off, like I said, we got to talk about the coaching. So Coordinator Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, and offensive coordinator Mike Kafka, both are getting head coaching jobs at the college all-star games coming up here, which I feel like we are calling them all-star games. It's really just showcasing for the draft, basically. That's what it is. Let's be honest. So Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka is named the head coach of the national team at the Senior Bowl. He said, "It's an honor to be selected as one of the head coaches for the Senior Bowl. I look forward to getting to know some of the best college athletes in the country, both on and off the field, as well as getting to work with a variety of talented coaches from around the NFL." Senior Bowl Executive Director Jim Nagy said, "Mike Kafka has already had numerous head coaching interviews over the past couple hiring cycles, and many people I've talked to around the league believe it's only a matter of time before he gets one of those jobs." I gotta say, I still don't understand it. Like, I'm not even trying to be rude to Mike Kafka right now. Like, you're coming off the worst offense in the entire NFL. You're the offensive coordinator, and I understand that Brian Dable was the play caller and probably messed up a lot of this. You were the offensive coordinator of the worst offense in the entire league.
But it's a matter of time before you have yourself a job.
Yes.
As head coach.
If only all jobs work that way. I could just suck and get promoted.
Well, there's some jobs out there where that happens.
But I think you know, like, we kid about that, but it's like at the same point, I think this shows that there's an image around the NFL that Kafka's not bad, that Dable's just effing it up.
Yeah, what does that say about Mara and Tish keeping them
I'm just saying, like, that's your only options you have in this scenario. Either Kafka's a really good offensive coordinator and Dable won't get out of his way, or all the NFL teams are stupid and want to talk to the worst offensive coordinator in the league about a head coaching position. Like, that's your options in this scenario. There's no middle ground.
It could be both. You don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Also, you got, of course, running backs coach Joel Thomas going to be the offensive coordinator for the American team, and will also call the plays as well. So, defensive coordinator Shane Bowen is named the head coach for the West squad at the East-West Shrine Bowl. So, interesting thing is he's actually going to be the head coach for Shedeur Sanders in that game.
Interesting.
I do find that very interesting. I almost wish it was flip-flop, that Mike Kafka was on that one and Bowen was on the other. Like, give him a chance to see what he thinks of him.
Yeah.
I do think it's mostly Dable messing up the offense, as much as I kid around about it. But it's like, I still wouldn't hire an offensive coordinator, my head coach, coming off the worst offense in the entire NFL. Sorry.
No, that's just silliness. Like,
yeah. But like I said, I like the fact that both these guys are doing this, though, because what you got in this scenario here is you got two of your higher, basically the highest highest assistant coaches basically on your staff, and these guys, the offense and defensive coordinator, big decision makers on draft day and leading up to the draft and giving evaluations, and they're going to have a front row seat for the best players basically available in this draft. Like that's a huge thing. Like there are guys who literally travel over to Mobile, Alabama to go ahead and watch this. And they literally go ahead and sit there with their clipboard and they watch with their binoculars. No. Mike Kafka is going to be sitting there as the head coach of the team. He's going to know exactly what's going on. Not just up front and center, but behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I like that. And like I said, same with Shane Bowen. And I got to say, for all the Shane Bowen hate, here he is getting a job like that. What does that tell you that the football world thinks of him? Doesn't think that bad.
Yeah, definitely not that bad.
You can't call this a minor event with Shedeur Sanders, a top 3, top 5 pick, whatever the hell you want to call him, he's going to be, is going to be in that program. Like that's not a nothing event at all. That's like probably the second biggest one to the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, it's fair to say.
So, like I said, congrats to both those guys. Gives them a chance to shine. Gives them a chance to show what they can do as a head coach. But yeah, it's like I said, it's a good position also for us because we get a chance to see some of these players up front there. So, let's talk about who we might lose though. There's a certain person in the front office, okay, that you and I have both talked about before as maybe somebody that should replace Joe Shane. The guy that a lot of people have very high thoughts of, and that's assistant GM Brandon Brown. Well, the Raiders have officially asked for permission to go ahead and interview him. Now, he interviewed last year with the Panthers and the Chargers, so it's not his first, not his first go around here with these interviews. Now, usually the first year when you go around for interviews, you don't get one. But if you keep getting interviews, eventually, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get one.
Yeah.
So this should be concerning to the Giants. They already lost Ryan Cowden, the senior advisor to GM Joe Shane, to the Patriots this offseason because we literally let him out of his contract. Didn't get a damn thing for him. And now we could potentially lose the assistant GM of the team as well. This coming off the first good draft that Shane has had in this time period. And when I say good, it was a great damn draft class. Don't get me wrong. But after he failed the first two miserably, to lose two of the top people that he would listen to.
Scary.
That's very scary. That's
in the first round, the Giants take dart.
Listen, there's been rumors about that already. I think it's all BS. I think it's people trying to rile people up. But listen, with Shane, I never feel like I have a good idea of what he's going to do. And Brandon Brown, like I said, he's very well thought of in the NFL circles. Beyond just his time with the Giants, he's also spent 5 years with the Eagles front office, which again, we hate the Eagles obviously, but we got to give it to him to a certain degree because they've been a successful team for the last decade or so, and he was part of that 5 years in the Eagles front office, including time as their director of pro scouting, which is definitely one of the top front office positions there. So yeah, like I said, we're going to lose him eventually if we don't give him the job ourselves. And if we lose him, I'm going to be it's got a fan. He should have fired Joe Shane Flames for me.
100%.
Because it's like we could have had somebody who I do think will be a good GM in this league. And instead we held on to a guy that we shouldn't have kept around any longer. Point blank. And like I said, I don't know if this is the job. I don't know if this is the year we lose him. But I do know I'm going to be pissed if we do lose him. That's all I know. So
hopefully it's a wake-up call when Shane's gone next year. And hopefully, we have time to keep what's his face around.
What's his face?
Yeah.
Way to make him seem important to the team.
Yeah.
Who's McCullough?
Who's it?
Brandon Brown is a guy that, like I said, if we do fire Shane at the end of the year or midway through the year, at that point, then John Mara's like, I'm done. I've had enough. I've seen this enough. Then maybe that's why. Maybe that's why this we held on to him for one more year is to get one more year of seasoning for Brandon Brown and move on from Shane and give Brandon Brown a chance to be the GM then. But again, if we lose him, if he takes a job with the Raiders and we lose him, I'm going to be so pissed, especially because there's a lot of reports that for some reason Ben Johnson is interested in the head coaching job with the Raiders, and a lot of people are giving it up to the Tom Brady effect, which I don't get. I'm sorry, if I am going to be somebody who wants to be a GM or a head coach, and this is the same advice again I give to Brandon Brown in this scenario because he is in that scenario where he's going to be interviewing. But take the interview by all means. Interviewing gets your name out there. It's a good spot here to do. Let's say hypothetically the Raiders offer you the job. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have much of anything. They don't have a top pick because they won a couple of meaningless games. They're like us last year.
Yeah.
And you're in a division with Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert, with Sean Payton and Bo Nix, who definitely exceeded expectations. And, oh yeah, by the way, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Arguably the best duo, coach quarterback in the league since Brady Belichick.
Yes. And again, I never want to be the fan that hopes that the guys don't get a job. Like I want people that are in the Giants organization to succeed. I want people to succeed in general in life. Like I don't want to be the negative guy and that puts negativity out there in the world. But if I'm Brandon Brown, that's a job I take the interview on. I thank them for the time. I take it as the learning experience that it's going to be for him. And I move on. And it's like I said, it's not for selfish reasons. It's for the fact that that's not the right position to take. That is going to be such a hard road for whoever takes it. And the Raiders have already proven that they don't have any ability whatsoever to show any loyalty to somebody they hire. And that's an issue. That's a big issue right there. So, all righty. Let's go pay the bills real quick. Why not? What the hell?
Let's do it.
When in Rome, do as the Romans and pay the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Right. Of course, as always, you can also support the show by doing a super chat on YouTube, sending stars on Facebook, or the free way. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share, tell a friend. Because again, guys, we suck at marketing. If it's not for y'all helping us out, nobody would know who the hell we are. People still don't even really know who we are. At least one or two does occasionally. So yeah. We got a couple comments there. Now, Kai, I see your comment there. I cannot put your comment up because YouTube will get mad at me for advertising reasons. But he says this team effing sucks, and there's no
right.
There's no other way of putting that. You're 100% accurate. Deb says, "What's your take on Prime getting head coaching job in Dallas?" I don't know. I still think there's a lot of hype in this. I think it'd be good for Dallas. I really do, because I think he's one of the few people that Jerry Jones might actually listen to. Like, he needs somebody he respects. You know, kind of like when Parcells was there. But I don't know. I don't see it being something that's going to happen. I think that he likes where he's at. I think Sanders likes the fact that he goes to Colorado. He walks on water on that campus. He does whatever he wants. He's the biggest celebrity on the entire campus. And he's not going to get that in the NFL. He's definitely not going to get that with Dallas. Jerry Jones will be up his tookus nonstop. But I don't think that's happening whatsoever.
I also think, like, if he's coming to the NFL, he's going to go where sun goes.
Yes. And I don't think Dallas has a shot in hell of trading up for that.
No.
Not to mention the fact that you have the Dak Prescott contract that just got signed. You can't get out of it. Like, are you going to eat like $150 million or whatever to go ahead and get rid of Dak Prescott? Because I've heard of that. So his cap hit, oh my God, I was kidding when I said $150 million. It's
155.
151 if you cut him with dead money. Now, you can always do a post-June 1st and you break even. But his cap number this year, $90 million is his cap hit. God damn. That is insanity. Absolutely insanity. So, but yeah, I don't see it happening. Now, again, like you said, I can see him going to go where his son goes. But he's not going to have control over that yet. It's going to be more of a sit and wait. Who gets my son? And then when does that job become available? Let's say, for example, the Giants get Shedeur. Because I still think that's going to happen. Personally, I think that's, if I had to place money on him going somewhere, I'd place money on the Giants. And I think you could see a scenario where, let's say, Brian Dable gets fired. That all of a sudden, next year, Prime wants to come here. I'm not sure I'd like it. At least be entertaining. And he is a leader. Like, say what you want about Dion. He is a leader. And
I know everyone faults that guy.
Like, people are knocking him like crazy for what he's done at Colorado because, let's be honest, his record's not 100% great. Like, it hasn't been. This year he was 7-2, sure, but last year he was very bad, and people like to point that out. Well, he needed to rebuild the team, and he did. He's 7-2 this year. Actually, I'm sorry, 9-4 this year. I was looking at the conference record. So he did rebuild it, and he's got to the point where 2 of the 3 are top 10 picks. Like I said, I'm not saying he's going to be a bad coach. I think he actually would be potentially a good coach as long as he had the right people to scheme with him, because I think he takes care of the leadership part. I don't know how he does as far as scheming. Pat Shermer, I know, pretty much has free reign for offense there in Colorado. I'm not sure about Warren Sapp. I believe Warren Sapp is a defensive coordinator. I'm not sure what kind of free reign he has. But, yeah, it's going to be, like I said, I think eventually he's going to take that move, and he's going to go to the NFL. But I just think he wants to go ahead and take a spot where his son is. And his son probably wants that too, to be honest with you. He's had
him the whole way.
Exactly. All right. Deb says, Pat Traynor reported tension between Henderson and Bowen because Henderson wanted DC job and did not get it. She also said he was let go to allow him to choose his own position coaches. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. That is an awkward scenario. We talked about that when they hired Shane Bowen. Like, not only did they hire Shane Bowen late, because if I remember right, the Senior Bowl and all that stuff was already over at that point when they hired him. And Jerome Henderson basically represented the Giants at those events like he was the defensive coordinator. So it's like, not only did you not give it to him, but you halfway gave it to him and then took it away. That's on the Giants for handling it that way.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, honestly, they should have just given him the job. And I'm not anti-Joe Shane. I'm sorry, I'm not anti-Shane Bowen. I am anti-Joe Shane. I'm not anti-Shane Bowen. We're probably the most Shane Bowen positive Giants podcast there is. Because I know a lot of other podcasts that I listen to, because I try to listen to other people when I'm setting up notes for the show or editing stuff and all. And I can't tell you, other shows are just bashing him left and right. We're probably the most friendly to Shane Bowen of all the Giants content creators. But Jerome Henderson was there. We started giving him the job basically. If you didn't want to do that, you should have sent somebody from the front office at that point to the Senior Bowl. Or you should have said, hey, Shane, you're going to have to go this year. Send the GM even if you had to. And I'm sure he was there even. So it's like you send somebody into a position like he got a job he didn't even get yet. It's almost like we've all had this, at least you've heard of this scenario before at their job, where somebody's like dangles the carrot of the promotion in front of you. Like, oh, if you keep this up, we're going to promote you to assistant paper towel holder. Like, I don't know, whatever.
Almost there.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, we just need you to show us you can do the job, and we're going to give it to you then. Like, that's what this scenario feels like to me. And maybe, again, I'm a little biased perhaps because I like Jerome Henderson and the job he did for us. And I think he was the least of the problems. Now, what you're saying here as far as Pat Traynor and talking about issues with Bowen and him kind of butting heads potentially, yeah, if that's happening, I get it. I don't know the scenario. I don't know to what degree it was. But I'm just telling you right now that if I have somebody that people, like, let's say, just literally the year before, Wink Martindale called the greatest defensive backs coach in the NFL. Why was Wink getting on with him and Shane Bowen wasn't?
Yeah.
Why would you not try to just fix the relationship or deal because of the talent that's there? I don't know. Again, dysfunction. That is the Giants' middle name at this point. Big Blue in the Bronx. What's up, fellas? What's up? Again, guys, if you have not, you need to subscribe to them. Subscribe.
Scribble.
Go away and subscribe. No, don't go away.
Yeah, stay here. Listen.
Go away. We're done. And subscribe.
Yeah.
And it says, I happen to think Deion Shedeur Dallas is fan fiction. I 100% agree. I think people are just looking at Jerry Jones loves to make splashy moves, and that's a splashy move. Like, that's a headline stealing, ESPN and First Take and all are going to talk about nonstop kind of move. And that's what it's all about sometimes for the Cowboys. It's more show than results.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah. Connor says, well, they can eat it after 1 or 2 years. Yeah, but they can't eat it now. You want to pay someone $90 to be your $90 million to be your backup quarterback?
No, thank you.
You want to pay him $68 million to be your backup quarterback the next year? That's the problem you run into. So, yeah. And then he says, I can't listen to Deion after a while. So annoying. Then tune him out. Seeing what happened if he was in charge of our guys. But then again, who knows? Today's no, it would happen. Like I said, maybe for you, but I feel like if you are in front of that guy, there's certain people that are just very good public speakers. And he does have that public speaking charisma. He really does. And I feel like most people do get kind of caught up in it.
That's
fair.
fair.
Quality you don't have or don't have because you worked on it. You just have it. You're just point blank. You're just there. So,
yeah, you could work on it, but his charisma, yeah, that's something that's given.
That's a natural thing you just have.
Yeah, it's just given.
You know, it's
came out of the room going, hey.
It's like height. You got it, you don't. Connor says, would you want your parents in your face every day? That's why kids usually move out, get away from their parents. Eventually, of course, when you're older and you lose your parents, you realize how much you miss them. I think it depends on the relationship.
Yeah, there's definitely kids out there that are in their 40s that still live with mom and dad.
Exactly. And there's plenty of people that would have no problem working and being around their family 24/7. Every family dynamic is different. And that's not me saying either one is right or wrong. You do what works for you and for them. But, you know, I said, I don't think he seems unhappy, or he would have just stayed at Jackson State. He didn't have to go to Colorado with his dad.
Yeah.
They made that decision together, I guarantee it. Which just tells you how close they are, because when he signed on, he started saying immediately, Shedeur Sanders is coming here. Yeah. He said that immediately. That was not like a pause. That was not a later decision. That was immediate.
It was probably an interview process, not even immediate. In interview process. I get hired, my son's coming here.
Exactly. He also says, your shirts tonight cracked me up, like seeing Jesus or hearing what your shirt said. We didn't even coordinate this. It's the fun part.
Connor, I saw that.
Yeah. So, alrighty. We're just talking about the Sanders family here. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders, because there's a report coming out that the Giants wanted Shedeur Sanders in last year's draft. That's interesting. And you keep hearing things about how like so many people went to go his practices and so many people wanted to get Shedeur Sanders this year. And it makes sense, because if they were going to draft him last year, that just tells you that obviously nothing changed this year to make you down on him. People have a higher thought process of him than they did last year. So this is from friend of the show, Connor Hughes. We should call him up and try to get him back on the show again if time permits for him there. So Connor again says the talk around the league circles has been Sanders. It's been that way since the season ended. The Giants actually have a complete report on Sanders ready if he declared for last year's draft. He would have been a target in the second or third round. Mara made it very, very clear after the season that his commitment to the regime was for 2025 only. If he feels next year as he does now, then he'll make wholesale changes. That mandate, which the NFL Network went as far as to say means playoffs, tells you there needs to be dramatic changes. Mara also made it clear the top priority for the Giants is finding their franchise quarterback. This tells me the Giants are going to do whatever they can to move up and get their quarterback. The biggest question, as addressed above, is if the Titans or Browns are willing to move back, or not even take a quarterback. I'll add that part to it. Like I said, guys, I've said it all along. I continue to say it. I will continue to say it until the draft is over. If you have a list, as Deion says he does, of teams that you will not let draft your son. You try to tell me any way, shape, or form that the Cleveland Browns are not going to be on that list. Because if that's the case, put down the crack pipe.
The problem we run into is who's going to stop them from taking the Browns? I'm sorry, who's going to stop the Browns from taking
them? Because I'm telling you right now, that's what's going to happen. Do you not think that the Sanders family as a whole would not be all over the place, flipping out publicly flipping out? Now, Deion's already made it very clear he has no problem with Shedeur going to the Giants. He's made that very public, as public as you can make it, without saying point blank, I'm okay with them going to the Giants. But he said point blank that he thought when the Giants had the first overall pick that Shedeur Sanders would go to them with the first overall pick. He said that point blank. Then he's also said nice things about Nashville and the Titans. So he's not opposed to that one, clearly. But you try to tell me that you don't have the Browns on that list.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm not even trying to toot our own horn over the Giants because, listen, let's be honest, we've been crap for 10 years now. But he's made it very clear he's okay with it. I still think the Giants are going to get him. And it sounds like he is their guy. From everything you're seeing, reading, and all the rumors being spilt out there at that point. And it doesn't make sense for them to be spilling it unless somebody legit has news, because the Giants aren't going to say it publicly. The Giants didn't want that out there publicly. You think the Giants want to release that they really want Shedeur Sanders? Like, how does that help them in any way, shape, or form draft-wise?
Doesn't.
Not
whatsoever. Because that says to the Browns, oh, that's what they want? Come and trade with me because I'm going to take them.
Exactly. But it is really interesting that they were willing to take him last year even too. I kind of like that if we do get him, because this is a guy that this staff has had confidence now for 2 years with. Not often you get that kind of scenario. So, like I said, if that's true, and Connor's usually pretty good about knowing what's going on there, he's definitely got his feelers around, both teams in East Rutherford there. So, yeah, if he's saying it, I don't think he's BSing at that point there. That's not usually the kind of thing he put out there without knowing for sure. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. All right. Last bit of Giants news here before we get into our picks here for this weekend.
Picks.
We got to talk about, there was an interesting option in free agency that was brought up by Empire Sports Media. They do the Fireside Giants podcast as well. So if you guys haven't checked that out, they really do good stuff. They suggested DeAndre Hopkins as a target for the Giants potentially in free agency. And I'm mixed on it. I kind of like it. The main reason why is, listen, DeAndre Hopkins has been in some bad scenarios in his NFL career. I think that's safe to say, especially this time in Houston. Look at the quarterbacks he had throwing the ball in Houston. And the guy still beasted. The guy still balled out. You didn't see him publicly flipping out. You didn't see him causing a scene.
True.
A lot of receivers would have done it. So he is and has been where Malik Neighbors is now. He'd be the perfect mentor if you wanted to bring one in specifically as a mentor for him. He's taken a mentor role this year with Xavier Worthy, the Chiefs rookie wide receiver. So Worthy, the last time they faced the Texans, which I want to say was like Christmas Eve. He had
week 15.
What week? It was like Christmas Eve they had that game. I remember watching parts of it. Had a 7-catch, 65-yard, 1 touchdown effort against the Texans there. And DeAndre Hopkins was quoted after the game as saying, I'm one of his hardest critics, so I want him to make every catch that comes his way. It's going to come as he gets more playing time and just plays in this league. But I want him to have 2 touchdowns instead of 1. Like, he's purposely going out of his way to mention this guy. And you can get a whole lot worse mentor than DeAndre Hopkins. I'm sorry. This guy is, and I get some slack when I say this sometimes. To me, he's a slam dunk Hall of Fame candidate right there. And not just because of what he did in the NFL or has done, but because of what he did it with, quarterback-wise.
Yes. I won't say slam
Murray
dunk,
is
but
probably
he's
your best quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest here. Kyler Murray is probably your best quarterback. That's kind of scary there. Guys got just shy of 13,000 career receiving yards in 12 seasons.
Which is good.
Yeah.
At least 30. He was injured for some. That's all right. He's also 32 years old.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's still got probably a couple years left, but not a whole lot of years left, and it'd be a short-term fix at that point there.
Would be. He's also one of the first players to get, 18 mil? He was one of the top. He started the trend with the wide receivers getting paid. So what is he going to want?
Yeah. You think he's going to want a lot of money at this point in his career? I mean, last year, for example, so this past season, I should say.
I was going to say, what did he make last season?
So I can look at this over the cap, but it doesn't matter too much as far as that because he's on an old contract. But this past season, now keep in mind he split times with the Titans and with the Chiefs. So this season here, 16 games, 8 starts, 56 catches, 610 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Not crazy good numbers, guys. But that's still legit numbers. What I mean by that is that's still a legit weapon that you can put on your team. It's just not your number one weapon.
Yeah, and it's also weird because let's face it, he was upset with the Titans. It's part of the reason why he went to the Chiefs.
Yeah,
he got the trade because he was not getting thrown the ball, and he's been a mentor to Worthy, and he's also on the field with Travis Kelce, with the Patrick Mahomes, who was hand the ball off first, throw the ball later, kind of quarterback this year. So this is pretty good numbers still.
And
I'm just saying it's like
a time to actually have an off season, and he just got thrown to Patrick Mahomes too, which I think is got to be said as well.
It does. I'm just saying I want to say he had a nice contract to the Titans, and he probably got paid minimum to
contract with his cap number this past year was $4.4 million.
So what was his contract though with the Titans?
That's what I'm saying. That's this year.
That was all. It was a 1 year deal.
So it was a 1 year deal. They put a void year on it for 1.8. So his complete contract was 6.2 million.
Oh, all right. Never mind. I was sitting there thinking he wants over 10. So
that's what I'm saying. Like he's been struggling. To find a job the last couple of years because he's not the guy he was. Point blank. And I think the big thing for him is going to be that he's going to have to continue in that kind of role. Now, the biggest thing that makes me curious about him is, let's say hypothetically, we were to lose Darius Slayton. That's a guy I would take in a heartbeat for Darius 100%. Slayton. That's a guy that I would sit there and say, yeah, okay, this is a guy for a year or two. We go ahead and draft somebody else as well on top of that, bring another young wide receiver in there. Probably because I want to kick Jalen Hyde at the curb. But, another guy that you can bring in there and do that with. And I think that's a reasonable thing to do, is to bring him in for a year or two, be a mentor to Darius Slayton, and just know he's not going to be number one. But he's at least good enough to be a Darius Slayton replacement for another year or two. I think that's a fair statement. Now, at his time with the Chiefs, his yard per game, by the way, went from 28.8 to 43.7 yards per game. If he did a 17-game average on that, that's 743 yards. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying he's the DeAndre Hopkins of old. He's not.
No.
But he's still got something left in the tank. It's just the tank's getting low and that gaslight's coming on.
Pretty much.
But he understands that as well. And that's why he's playing the role he's playing. And like I said, I don't know if he'd even want to come to the Giants, to be very frank. If I'm a guy coming off a year with I started with the Titans, got miserable there because I was losing so much, went to the Chiefs and started winning, might even win a Super Bowl this year, who knows? Would I want to not just resign with them?
That's probably the case.
Especially if they're going to lose Travis Kelce to retirement potentially, because there's rumors of that.
Does he follows Taylor Swift around?
Well, no, because he's just getting older and he had what was considered an off year for him. That's what people are already talking about there. So, who knows? Who knows? I mean, he's how old is he now? He's 35 years old, Travis Kelce. I keep on forgetting how old he is.
He's that old? Damn.
Yeah, he is. He's 35. He's been playing for 12 years. You know, had his worst season since 2015 stats wise. Actually, I'll yeah, probably a safe statement to say. So yeah, maybe he sticks around to try to be another weapon to go with Worthy and him, and they go and try to get another tight end. You know, call it a day. But like I said, he's a guy that I think is a decent fit. And I think on paper, when you first think of it, like, okay, Hopkins, like, why would we get Hopkins? But if you can get him for like $5-6 million and keep him like a 2-year deal at that point there, so maybe 2 years, let's say 2 years, $12 million hypothetically, you know, 5 and a 7 years, something like that, $5 million to $7 million a year, and then give him as a mentor role. Let him mentor these guys, because I'm telling you right now, guys, like, if you don't remember, go watch tape of him when he was with the Texans.
Oh, so good.
He was so damn good with horrible quarterbacks. Like, go look at the list of quarterbacks this man got forced to play with.
Deshaun Watson.
Oh, you could say that was the best quarterback. I think Kyler Murray, I would say, because I don't like Deshaun Watson, but that's more of a personal grudge thing than a true statement, to be honest. But I mean, look at it, like the bums they had there for how long, you know? Like, seriously, that was a bad, like the Brock Osweilers of the world. Like, how many bad quarterbacks did they have with them?
So many. It was a rotating door.
Like I said, not a bad option in my eyes. So, all righty, guys, let's get to our picks. It's time for our picks. It is time. And it's like, really? But before we do that, guys, as always, we have to go over our picks from last week. We didn't do the recap Monday that we've been doing because we just had too much stuff to go over here. So we'll just give you guys the real quick rundown on how we did last week. And I'm going to tell you right now, it wasn't pretty. So
especially for someone.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, keep in mind there was 6 games last week there. So of those 6 games, I only had 2 of them right. Rob got 5. Of those 6 games, I only got 1 spread pick right. Rob got 2. I only got 1 over under right. Rob got 2. So he beat me 9-4, like crushed me here. Now my annual total, I'm still up by 32 points, 532 to 500, because I still beat you in the regular season there. But this was probably the worst week of picks I've had in my entire life.
Just
watching the games going, oh my God, I was wrong in everything.
You were just like LA.
So, yeah. Maybe you should just take Rob's picks this week. Who knows? Let's go over the games there first. So, Saturday. Not Jeff Saturday. 4:30 in the afternoon. Here's the first game. You got the Texans at the Chiefs. Chiefs are an 8.5-point favorite in that game there, which is that's a decent size spread there. And a 41.5 over under there. So yeah. I guess I should let you start. You won last week, but I guess I'm already gave you the spreads.
Go. I guess I'm
tired. Leave me alone. I had a long day at work.
Where?
Very long day at work. It was a very stressful day, like every day. Why they pay you to go? So listen, guys. I was shocked still the Texans won last week. Like, I won't even front. I did not think they were going to win last week.
No.
It's a nice thing for their fans. They did. But if you're going to tell me there's a shot in hell that the Texans are going to beat the Chiefs, I'm going to call BS immediately. I'm sorry. Like, this is, again, it's not, I wouldn't want to say it's David and Goliath. It's definitely not David and Goliath. But it's more like Andre the Giant versus X-Pac. Yeah, I'm using wrestling terms.
Yeah.
Bringing back 2 generations of wrestlers, by the way, in that. But, yeah, so I got the Chiefs to win. Now, I do think 8.5 points is a big spread. The only reason why I say this is because the Chiefs always play people close. It doesn't change. That's saying that the Texans are close to as good as the Chiefs. It's just the way the Chiefs tend to play. So I'm going to pick the Texans to beat that 8.5 point spread. Over under a 41.5, and I think it's going to be a defensive game. I really do. I think it's going to be a very low scoring game. So I'm going to go with the under on that. And that's actually the lowest over under this entire weekend, by the way.
Yeah, which kind of crazy.
Patrick Mahomes said the lowest over under The weekend of playoff games.
Which is absolutely absurd.
Yeah. That is.
I agree with you. There's no way that the Chiefs are not going to win this game. Like, I should say no way. Any given playoff game, something can happen that's unexpected. I mean, it's hard to go with one loss the Chiefs had this year, come back with a three-peat to win the Super Bowl, but they have been dominant all year long. And you're right, they do play close games.
They do.
So I'm taking the Chiefs in this, and their defense is actually. We were talking about Travis Kelce earlier. We were talking about the roles of the receivers and how little yards to do because they've been running the ball more. But that's also not necessarily true in every game. And December 21st, when these guys met, it was a good game. It went down the wire, but I want to take the Chiefs actually in the spread in this because at the end of the day, the final score was 27-19 when they played the first time around, and the Chiefs were beat up. They had a lot of injuries. Now they've rested for 2 weeks. Yeah. So they had plenty of times to get healthy. So I'm going to take the Chiefs in the spread as well. Because it's literally saying that Houston could put up, if you're going with the over-under, it's saying that Houston's going to put up 16, 17 points and then just get crushed. And I want to go with the over because I think the Houston's going to be able to get to 20. It's going to be 20-30 in this game, a little higher. So I'm going to take the over as well. So that's two ways we disagree in this game.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying if you're looking at the spread right there, it's
that's the weirdest thing to have almost the largest spread, but have the lowest over under. That just tells me that Vegas is trying to tell us they think it's going to be a defensive game.
We'll talk about a large spread because these large spreads are coming on a Saturday. So NFL is trying to tell you something. Because when the DC goes
down on the weekend, that's why.
That's right. It's because when the Commanders go into Detroit, the Lions are favored by 9 points in this game. No halfsies here.
I got to be careful up in Florida. People might have to start showing their driver's license to watch the game.
Yeah.
Anybody knows Florida laws don't know why I'm saying that.
No, I don't. Oh, God.
Oh, they passed a rule to watch adult things. You literally have to scan your driver's license.
Yeah. One of those states.
I was like, really? This is the biggest problem we have. We got killer alligators and hurricanes, but that's the biggest problem we have. Okay.
But if you want to see some chocolate covered starfish, you gotta scan your card.
A hot dog flavored water.
Yeah.
Check. Two.
But anyway, when the Commanders go into Detroit to play the Lions,
now I have that song in my head now. By the way,
check 1, 2. Anyway, the Lions are the Lions are favored. I was about to say flavored. Favored by 9 points.
Oh my gosh!
With the highest over under of the week at 55.5 points, which tells you they're expecting a shootout. Which I agree. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think both these teams, granted, the defenses kind of flew under the radar. They've been playing well all year long, but Dan Campbell and those Lions have been lights out. Just they don't care. They'll put up 40 points even if you put up 10. They don't let off the gas. They just go. Chiefs are going to. The Lions are going to win this game, and I do think they're going to beat that spread as well. I think what DC's done has been great for that area. I think Jalen Daniels has done great for that team, taking them with 4 wins to the playoffs, the divisional round. Playoffs, fantastic news, for them, which sucks for us because we have to play them twice a year now. But I think that Cinderella story is going to come to the end with Dan Campbell going for it. No field goals, just double downs, Lions, in the over.
Yeah, honestly, I hate. What I hate about this game here is, and it's gonna sound weird being somebody on a podcast from another NFC East team here. These are the two teams that I would love to see in the NFC Championship game, just because it's feel good stories. I mean, the Commanders have been bad for a long time. Listen, it's not like it is with the Eagles and the Cowboys. I do actually have respect for Commanders fans because they've built just a lot of bad times. They've dealt with multiple name changes for the franchise, one of the worst owners in the history of professional sports, and they're still around. Like, that's a real fan, guys. That's a real fan right there.
You got to put up with your owner with a crappy haircut for how long?
That's the Raiders.
Yeah. Shit.
But yeah, you dealt with that. Then you deal with the you got the Lions who dealt with, going like 75 years, it felt like, without a playoff win or whatever it was, and it's two teams that you want for their fans' sake to get a victory and get a Super Bowl, and they kind of deserve it at this point there. Maybe not as much the Commanders because they tied with us for 4 Super Bowls, and I don't want to deal with that, but I'm just saying, like, legit fans. Like, I feel for legit fans. And maybe it's just because we've been dealing with this BS for the last 10 years as Giant fans.
We feel your pain.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're one of you. We're now.
So all you Kansas City fans in the tri-state area, go kick rocks.
Yeah. So anyway, though, Lions, I think, are gonna just. I feel like this is the game that the Commanders come down to earth. I really do. I think the Lions they're like a team of destiny right now. And I think the Lions are going to win. I think they're going to win big time. It's obviously a home game for them. They're going to bring out Eminem probably and every other person from Detroit known to man. They'll probably have Tim Allen go "Arr, arr, arr," over the loudspeaker. Like, I don't know what else they can do with Detroit. But I think you're going to see it. They're going to have Detroit style pizzas. They're going to all go a little crazy. Like, they probably have a little auto show at halftime. I don't know. But it's like,
that's what they're going to do. The horns are going to be going off to, God Save America. And then they're going to shoot deep dish pizzas out of the shirt guns.
I just feel like, Dan Campbell is probably one of the best motivators in the entire NFL. Like, you hear that man talk and you want to run through a wall for him. You really do. And I feel like you throw that with that atmosphere, and it's going to be really a tough task to beat those Lions. I got the Lions to win. I got the Lions to go ahead and cover the spread, same as you. The only difference is I do have the under on this because something just tells me this is going to be one of those games, almost like last week with the Commanders and the Bucks, and you expect it to be a high-scoring game, and it just doesn't happen. Doesn't come to fruition for whatever reason. Both these teams obviously like to run. The Lions, have a good running game. The Commanders have a good running game. It's going to help keep the score down a little bit there. I just had that under feeling for no actual reason besides that gut feeling at that point. Okay. And I had my yogurt this morning, so my gut is doing just perfectly fine.
Ooh.
Yes. The one Jamie Lee Curtis told me to have. Yogurt.
She also decided to star in Halloween Resurrections, so maybe let's not trust her decisions on everything.
Well, she also just recreated her yoga. I mean, not yoga. Her aerobics video from 30 years ago for some reason too. So not the best of decisions at times, but she was good in Coming to America. Not Coming to America. Was it Trading Places? Whatever it was. One of those Eddie Murphy movies.
That was like her big breakout role. And
breakout role.
Well, got her into more major. Halloween is her breakout role, but
also
actually got her more.
True Lies, a great movie.
It was, but that also came out 10 years after, which is 4 years after.
Know. I'm just saying it's a good movie she was in. That's all I'm saying. Freaky Friday.
Fantastic.
Everyone likes a good Freaky Friday.
But she's helping out a lot with the Palace in LA with the firefighters.
Put your driver's license up to the laptop. Anyway, so Lions, and the under there. So next up, the game that I really hated picking, guys, because of who I'm going to have to pick in this game. We got the Rams. Not having to worry about where to play this week because they're going to be in Philadelphia, where their fans like to curse at people and use 4-letter words that start with C and all kinds of nasty words, apparently. But again, honestly, kudos to the Eagles. And I hate to say that. Kudos to the Eagles. I don't know if you all heard about what happened with that. There was a guy and brought his girlfriend, wife. I don't know the relationship exactly.
Fiance.
Guy, okay, it was Beyonce. What?
Yep, it was his fiance. According to the game.
Beyonce.
No, not Beyonce.
It's Beyonce.
It could have been her name. I don't know.
was it Jay-Z and Beyonce? No,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's these two Packer fans. So yeah, okay, I guess you're saying that they were engaged, and they had a fan who I'm sure was drunk, but it's no excuse. You don't, if you can't tolerate alcohol, then just don't drink it. But he was yelling, cursing, calling her ugly, calling her the C word. They were calling all kinds of nasty stuff there.
Yeah, you see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. And so the internet did what the internet does and hunted him down, found out where he worked. He got fired from his job. He got banned from ever going to another Eagles game again. But the big thing, and this is where I want to say the classy move here. The Eagles made the classy move of sending a whole bunch of Packers gear to that woman.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a classy move. That's a classy move. So again, I hate to ever give the Eagles kudos, but that's a classy move. Along with the Rams now coming back from having to play in Arizona. And I got to give credit to the Arizona Cardinals because they did so much to make the Rams feel at home last week. It's not even funny. They brought buses up to LA to go ahead and get people down. They went ahead and did the whole entire stadium. So they have what they call it the red zone, the end zone, not just because of the fact that it's, the red zone typically called, that part, but because of the fact that they're red colors in their uniform and stuff like that. It's a whole play with that term and everything. They literally covered up that with blue and put the SoFi logo and stuff like that. Like, that's the extent of what they did. They took all their stuff out of their team shop and put all Rams gear in there. Like, that's a classy move. People forget this is their divisional rival.
That's like the Commanders doing that for us, or actually Philadelphia, because that's about the
it'd be like the Eagles. Like, could you imagine a situation where, God forbid, and I'm not wishing this upon anybody because I feel bad for what the people in LA are dealing with, but it's like, could you imagine a scenario where let's say Philadelphia has, let's say a massive flood. Let's use a different thing because you don't really get, the fire.
Well, you got to figure. Yeah.
Well, let's say they got a massive flood, the whole downtown floods, or blah blah blah, or they can't get to the game, and it's not safe to do things there. And imagine that they take over MetLife for a game, and literally got Eagles gear and everything all over the Giants team store, the Giants/Jets team store. They literally cover up all the Giants logos and put Eagles logos up. And from everything I'm hearing, the Cardinals paid for that. So
it's a classy move.
That's a classy move. So we got to give up some, like I said, some props to two teams that did something very classy, even though we hate one of those two teams.
Yeah.
We still did classy. Anyway, on to the game itself. So the Eagles are obviously the favorites in this game here, 6-point favorites against the Rams. The over-under in this game here is 44. Listen, guys, I'd love to tell you the Rams are going to win. I would love it. First off, I'd love it because I hate the Eagles. Second off, I'd love it because I feel bad, again, for what's going on in LA, and probably bring them a little bit of joy to see their team winning another playoff game. I just think the Eagles are too good. I think the only team that has a shot to beat the Eagles in the NFC portion of the playoffs is coming next week when they play the Lions, assuming that the games go the way I think they're going to go. After last week, who knows? I got the Eagles to win. I got the Eagles to cover, and I have the under on the points as well. It's another under. I think it's going to be a low-scoring weekend. I really do. So, yeah, Eagles under.
Yeah, we can agree on the under. I don't think it's going to be as high-scoring game. I think both of these defenses are going to show up.
Well, of course, they're going to show up. I mean, they get paid.
Obviously, otherwise they're going to get penalized by the NFL and the teams.
I've given up throwing the flag before for too many men in the field, but not for not having anybody on the field.
Yeah.
Zero power defense here.
But you're absolutely right. The Eagles have been on fire. They've won like 11 straight games at this point, 12. But everyone's also forgetting about how hot the Rams were playing. And I called it last week, and I said the same thing. They were 5-1, going into last week's game, and now they're 6-1. They played some good teams. Their defense is coming around. The team's starting to look healthy. At the beginning of the year, they were 1-4, and they were banged up everywhere. They're a team that's coming in hot. They're coming in like ready and hungry compared to the team that's constantly winning. And let's be real, the teams that come into the playoffs just winning usually kind of feel like it's a hand-me-out, especially against a game against a team like the Rams. So I'm taking the Rams in this game because their defense has really come around, been healthy, stopping the run. To Philadelphia. But they've been really good at stopping the run. And Barkley is a big part of the Eagles' offense, let's be real.
Yep.
And their corners are stepping up big time. And Matt Stafford has really utilized, all his receivers and tight ends. Like,
you really need to rethink about this if Matt Stafford becomes available thing the way he's been. Yeah,
he's not going to come available. He's probably going to get signed again or whatever.
No, I don't think so personally. They're ready to give up on him unless he wins the Super Bowl. Then they're kind of stuck with him just for media purposes. But
they're kind of stuck with him now. So I'm taking the Eagles. I'm taking the Rams to win this game, which means I'm taking them in the spread as well. And I do agree, it's going to be more of a gritty game, especially like
gritty.
This area is expecting some snow. So
I heard you guys are about to go through like a ridiculously cold spell coming up here starting Saturday night, is it?
I'm over the bridge in Toms River, and there's already a dusting that started 3 hours ago.
But I heard it's going to be like negative degrees.
That's the wind chill.
Weekend.
That's the wind chill.
I don't care. That's too cold for my taste.
Remember when you tried to tell me that Florida's colder than New Jersey?
No. What I said is cold in Florida hits different than it does in Jersey because it's a wet cold. It's not a dry cold. It's like at that point, what we're talking about now is like when a lot of people are like, oh, you go to Arizona, it's a dry heat. I don't give a shit. 115 degrees, dry, wet, whatever, that's a heat. But there's no coming back from that. There's hot, no matter what. It's the same once you get that kind of cold. Dry, wet, cold, I don't care. When you get to below 0 degrees, it's cold.
Monday, Tuesday, the low is at 9, so that's not counting the wind chill. Sunday for the game, and this is over. Where's this? Toms River. It's saying snow and 18 degrees.
Yeah, game's not.
Well,
meanwhile, my high on Sunday is 66.
Yeah, womp.
It'll drop into the 50s the rest of the afterwards next week. So don't worry.
That's cool. It'll drop to 9 Monday and Tuesdays a low. 9.
Anyway, let's get to the last game.
The last game, 6:30. It's the last. Listen, guys, you don't have to stay up till 11 o'clock to watch Sunday Night Football anymore. Now you just got to stay to 10, pretty much at this point.
Yeah.
So your game starts at 6:30. You got the Ravens going into Buffalo. This is the game for your MVP quarterback. Like,
yeah,
argument say like Lamar's been playing lights out. The Winter Soldier, Josh Allen himself, has carried that team on his back several times this year. We'll call him Bucky. He even grew out his hair like Bucky.
Maybe Bucky Irving should go for that name.
He should, right? Just get a giant mechanical arm.
Winter Soldier playing at Tampa Bay.
This game is probably going to be the most exciting game of the weekend. Hopefully, in my opinion. But I do think it's the Bills' shot. I think they're going to win. I think the Bills are going to cover, obviously, because at one point it's pretty much a toss-up. It's saying that the Ravens are going to be favored at home or on the road a little bit more than they should be. But they're going to respect the Bills because they're at home. But once again, snow.
Yes, that's a snowmageddon game.
And the over-under is at 51.5 points. So I'm taking the Bills to win. The Bills to cover this game. I'm taking the under. And I think it's going to be one of those really nail-biting kind of games. But I just have to give the edge. Both these defenses are playing great, but I just have to give the edge right now. I think Josh Allen's more in the line of the MVP category than Lamar. And it's not taking away anything from Lamar because he's been playing lights out this year.
It's not how Lamar takes it.
He might take it. I don't care how he takes it. He won. It's not his time right now. And it's the Buffalo Bills' goddamn time.
You just want to be able to root for a team with the red and blue jersey. I'm on to you.
A little bit. I want to just bring it back out. I want to be able to throw an old school Giants jersey on. People be like, maybe.
Made a Lourdes Taylor play for the Bills. Oh well.
Yeah. It's like,
But
final answer: Bills under.
I'm with you 100%. Except I'm going over. I really am, and I know it makes no sense whatsoever because, like you said, the weather going to be outdoors. But I just had this vibe. This is going to be not the shootout game, but it's just going to be a high-scoring game in general. And I really think that the Bills are going to do some damage in this game. I just feel like at one point, the Bills got to put it together and go on a legit Super Bowl run. Like, how many years can you be this good and not go? Like, we've been calling for the demise for like 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, and it just hasn't. And you get glimpses of it, but it never fully happens. And listen, we don't wish bad upon the Bills. I mean, we kind of stole a Super Bowl from them, so we don't wish bad upon them. Like, but this is the year I think that they potentially have a chance of getting into that Super Bowl. And the very first thing they got to do is beat a very tough Ravens team, a different Ravens team than he usually is, a team that's much more offensive driven than usual. You know, the defense has been very lapsed at times, and I think they're just not quite ready. This is a team that needs to rebuild that defense a little bit before they're ready for that kind of run. Plus, Lamar Jackson, let's be honest, hasn't had the best playoff records in his career. So, yeah. Bills, I'm going over. So,
although I did see some hype that 12 years ago, there was a 28-year-old quarterback named Joe Flacco who won the game with 34 points versus whatever. And then 12 years prior to that, there was another 20-year-old quarterback who also sadly beat the Giants at that point and won with 34 points on the board. So someone's predicting Lamar Jackson wins with 34 points because he's also 28.
We'll see. All righty, guys. We'll find out who's right. We will. So that's going to call it a night here for us. We'll be back again for you guys Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter/X, and, of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile, of course. And, of course, we're always available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms as well. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there. So if you guys haven't already, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, share. Again, it really does help grow the show there. If you're on YouTube, if before you go, hit that thumbs up button as well. That really does help spread that out to people as well. So we'll be back again Monday for you guys as well, giving you guys all the latest news as it comes down with the Giants, depending on what happens. You know, you just never know what's going to happen this time of year. We do still need to complete a couple series we started doing. We got to finish going over a review of all the players from the defense here. We also have to go, of course, talk about some people that might be coming up available. We already read a rundown of all the quarterbacks that's going to be available, but we're going to do a rundown of other positions of need as well. So we'll go ahead and do that there for you guys as well as things progress. So, again, if you haven't already, hit that like, subscribe. We'll see you guys again Monday. Stay warm if you are basically anywhere in the country because it sounds like it's going to be a really, really cold weekend coming up here. Not just for y'all in the tri-state area. And before I yell that for saying y'all again, oh, well, I live in Florida, deal.
Use guys.
Deposit traction.
But has a clock his ticket.
Even for us, it's going to be colder. Like I said, we're dropping the 50s. It's horrible. So, guys, bundle up, stay safe, have a happy weekend there. And like I said, we'll see you guys again Monday. And as always, Giant fans,
go Giants!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please.